Hey friends, welcome to Sparks, a SoulFire series dedicated to showcasing leaders who inspire, ignite, and light the way for others. Each month, we highlight someone whose presence, wisdom, and work creates a ripple of impact in their community. I'm your host, Alex Widener, and I am so grateful that you're here today. Today, we're sharing a story of someone who helps people find their way back to themselves. Alex Hawkins is the founder of Wildwood Connections, a nature-based community experience company in Northwest Arkansas. After years of pursuing a successful career as a compliance lawyer, she found herself facing burnout and asking a difficult question. What if the path that looks right isn't the path that's right for you? What followed was a season of slowing down, reconnecting with nature, and rediscovering what truly brought her to life. Today, through guided hikes, retreats, and outdoor experiences, Alex creates spaces where people can step away from the noise, reconnect with themselves, and remember they don't have to navigate life alone. In this conversation, you'll hear her journey, the burnout that became a turning point, the courage it took to choose a different path, and the lessons she's learned about purpose, wholeness, and leading from a place of authenticity. So settle in, take a breath, and let Alex's story remind you that it's never too late to come back to yourself, trust the next step, and follow the path that's calling you forward. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hello, Alex. This is so fun.
I know.
Alex and Alex.
Yes.
That's right. This is Alex Hawkins. Talking to Alex W. Great to see you, Alex.
Yes. So thankful that you are here. Congratulations on being our June Spark. It's so fun.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I'm really excited about this partnership. I love these types of conversations. So excited about our partnership with Soulfire.
Yes, I love it too. So, for those of you who don't know, Alex has been with Mariah and I from basically the beginning of Soulfire. And first of all, shout out to a 1 year anniversary of Soulfire. We are celebrating 1 year, which I cannot believe we're
Yay!
here at 1 year, which is great. It's crazy. Time goes so fast.
Yeah.
So that was a side note. Anyway, congratulations, Alex. She has been with us since the beginning. She has helped us in so many ways. First of all, just thank you for coming along this crazy ride with us because it has
Yeah.
definitely been a roller coaster.
I
Where we
mean, I get
started,
it. Yeah.
yeah, where we started is not where we are now. And as an entrepreneur yourself, Alex, I'm sure you've had these highs and lows too, which we'll get
Yeah.
to Wildwood Connections
Yeah.
shortly. But um, it's great. It's great. So, what I love most about Alex's story, and again, we'll dive into this soon, but I feel like it was going to really resonate with our listener because it's something that we talk about a lot and something that I think we all struggle with, including myself. And so, I'm just really excited today for our episode and just to get to know more about you.
Me too. Thank you so much. And I will
Yes.
say, before we get into my story, and what led to Wildwood Connections, it's really my involvement with you and Mariah and all of what Soulfire is about a year ago that inspired me to really, jump into this entrepreneurship. And the best part about entrepreneurship is we don't do it alone. I don't like doing anything alone. I love collaborating. And it's just really great to have this collective of these really inspiring people that, help me make the jump.
That's good. Thank you for saying that. And it really is the collective. Like we talk a
Yeah.
lot about community on the show and
Yeah.
but that's like it takes a village to raise a child, but I think it takes a village to raise all of us. Like,
No kidding. There's no
you
such
know?
thing as like soul founders. Yeah. No, there's so
No,
much
yes.
support and so much like you just need lots of people to help move things forward. I love this saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So I know Soulfire has just so many great people helping move it forward. And that's the best foundation for success in the long run.
Absolutely. Love that. Okay, let's talk about you since you are our
Yeah.
spark. Yes.
Yeah,
Well, tell
absolutely.
us, just give us kind of a high level overview of who you are, how you've come to where you are now, and what that looks like for you.
Yeah. So I grew up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I studied political science and at the U of A and then went straight through law school. And it's funny that I'm leading with my education because for so long, my identity was really tied up in those external, titles and the status of productivity. I love school. I love getting good grades. I've been a high performer. And I think what's really relatable about my story is that I felt like I was on this treadmill. So school, high achieving, a lot of pressure. And from the outside, everything looked like it was going really well. And I won't lie, Alex, I had a checklist, on this treadmill, I was grinding. So job, big corporate career, promotion, raises, marriage, buying the house, more promotions, more raises. I was grinding and I just never felt like I was arriving anywhere. I was running marathons during the day. I was just reading so many like self-help books at night. And then maybe I would like squeeze in a meditation app at like 6 a.m. And it
Right.
just like, I just wasn't going anywhere. I kept trying to say, like, I'm almost happy. I'm almost there. If I just get this next promotion, if I can, PR my runs. And then I eventually just burned out. When I had to take a step back from all those, things that were driving me forward, it felt like a failure. But slowing down and being honest about rebuilding my identity, figuring out what's actually important to me and lights me up, sets my soul on fire, as SoulFire says. It felt like the most honest thing I ever could have done. So I think the biggest realization during that time was that I was never going to be happy with the treadmill that I was on. I never even wanted the prize at the end. That's why I like kept having these almost moments. So my path has looked really different since then. And, old patterns die hard. So I feel like I'm in this place of transition. I'm kind of on the threshold, I think, because I have this path forward into entrepreneurship and these really great organizations like SoulFire Collective. They're helping me push Wildwood forward. But I still have a 9 to 5 job. And, the desire, I think the pull of my old life still shows up sometimes. But I'm really excited to be in this place because I know it's a growth place. So really excited that, I had this drive and that wasn't sustainable. I had to slow down and kind of pivot and redirect my life. And right now I'm in a building phase. It's really growth oriented. It's not always comfortable. There are highs and lows, just like you mentioned, but it's a really exciting place to be.
Good. I love that so much. I've talked about this before, but build is my word of the year this year.
Build, cool.
Yes. And I feel like it's a year of growth. Like a lot of things are
Yeah.
changing and pivoting and transforming, and I love it
Mm-hmm.
so much. It is very uncomfortable for me too in certain times. Like there's no certainty because you don't know, you're still growing. And so you might have a great event where a lot of people show up, and then you might have one that's not so great. And you're like, what did I do wrong? And it's easy to get into that like cycle of what ifs.
Yes, Alex, I love that. I love how similar we are because we're really workers. We're like really analyzing things, trying to figure it out. And that's great because it's really going to serve us well. It already is serving us well in the business world, but it can, lead to some scary emotional places maybe. So managing that. And I just listened to a podcast with How I Built This with Guy Raz, and the entrepreneurs were talking about managing your mind and how important it is to have emotional intelligence. So it's great we also have that foundation, or hopefully I
Yes.
am moving in that direction, because it's not just about the business. It's just accepting that that we have this uncertainty in our lives.
Yes. For those who don't know, I'm sure most of you know this about me, but we are recovering perfectionists,
Yep.
both Alex
Yep.
and I.
Absolutely.
I like to
Listen,
say
I think it's because,
recovering because
yeah,
we're trying not to be that way.
that's right. We're aware, that's the
Yeah,
first step,
yes, we are
is
aware.
awareness.
We are not in
Mm-hmm.
denial.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I want to talk about something that I've heard you talk about before that you put in your intake form that I was sort of a part of. about a year ago, you said, Mariah told me that my heart wasn't really in the path I was chasing. And then you said, sometimes the most powerful thing a leader can do is tell someone the truth they're not letting themselves hear, which is like such a simple statement, but also such a profound statement, because I think a lot of times we are in denial. Speaking of denial, like we know that this doesn't feel right. We know we're on this hamster wheel of chasing this
Yeah,
goal,
that's
accomplishment,
right.
dream, whatever it is.
Yeah,
But we always, it's like a carrot, right?
yeah,
Dangling, and you're trying to
yeah,
reach for it and you can't
that's right.
grab it. And so
Yeah.
Mariah boldly, which we all know Mariah is great at this, boldly
Bold is a
told
good word for
you.
it. Yeah.
Yes, she
She's
told
very
you,
direct.
like, "What are
Uh-huh.
you doing? Why are you doing
Yeah,
this?" And I think
exactly.
that same happened with me. She's like, "Well, what do you
Hmm.
wanna do? Like, why are you
Hmm.
still doing this if you don't wanna do it?" And it's almost like, for me, it gave me permission to go, "Wait, there's other
Yeah,
options? I can say
yeah,
no to this
yeah,
career that I've been working my whole life to build and do something
right.
different?"
Yeah,
And in that moment for me, it was like a light switched on. It was like,
yeah,
"Okay, well, what does that mean? What does that look like?" And it didn't happen overnight. It still hasn't happened overnight. But I feel like the same is for you. When she told you that, it sort of put you on this new path. So talk to me about
for
that.
sure. Yeah, yeah. So a couple things come to mind, Alex, and it's cool that you had that similar experience. It says a lot about Mariah, and I think it says a lot about us and our, journey of this transition. Because first, I think we were both in a place where maybe we didn't know why we were unhappy, but something was off. Something was missing, and we're looking for answers. So I know you have known Mariah for a while. I have too. When I saw her start to post these posts about Soulfire, something resonated with me. And, I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't name it. All I knew was that I was really frustrated and felt like I was beating my head up against a wall because I was applying for jobs and not getting them. And I won't lie, I'm still going through that process. There's still a part of me that's like, if I just got this next job. And yeah, I am again and again arriving at the same conclusion. Maybe I dip back into denial from awareness to denial. But I think I was in a place where I was looking for answers and I didn't know why, but something was just off. And the other piece, Alex, is that I think I had enough trust in Mariah and we had a foundation where I felt love and supported. Mariah has been my mentor at a previous company for a really long time. So I had a previous relationship. She was very direct about like, what are you even doing? And if the wrong person had said that, or if it had been in a different time when I wasn't ready to hear it, then it might have had a totally different reaction. I could have put up my walls and been really defensive and not received that information. But because I was in a place where I was looking for answers, I was ready to try something different, and because it came from someone who's really special in delivering their message, and we had that relationship, it really landed and stuck with me and inspired me to be a part of Soulfire, because it's really cool to hear your story was really similar. But I knew from that moment that Mariah was building something special and that Soulfire was really going to help people. And if I could help someone have even, a little bit of the experience that I had, then I want to figure out how to, amplify that message and reach even more people.
I That's the best part too. Like, I'm trying to put it into words, but like,
Yeah.
once you've experienced that with Mariah and you've started going through your own growth period, you
Yeah.
want to pay it forward too. You want to be able to help
That's
other
right.
people that are in similar situations. So I'm glad you
Exactly.
said that.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's a great reminder, of where I'm at on my journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say too, Alex, we all have blind spots, and part of
Yes.
being in that
Yes.
place where we're ready to try something different is just like looking for help. Receiving anybody's perspective can be really helpful. So accepting I don't know everything, I don't know even what's happening, and then being open to hearing feedback and other people's perspective was so key.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, even now, listening to feedback from the collective, whether that's about the podcast, an event, something we're doing, not doing, whatever that looks like. And I'm sure with you as well. I mean, most entrepreneurs and business owners know like feedback is gold. Like you need to have feedback from people, even if it's constructive.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I don't
Exactly.
want to say negative, but there's going to be
Yeah.
people that give you negative feedback,
Yeah.
but all of
Yeah.
that is data we can use to grow and change and
Yeah.
do better, you know?
Exactly. It's all
It's
data.
great.
That's right.
Yeah, it is. And when you, I would, just as a side note, like once I started looking at feedback as data that I can take and information I can take in, it felt less personal, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, because as you were talking, I was thinking, about times that I've received constructive, feedback and the times where it touches on a vulnerability or an insecurity that I have, it's really tempting to go into that defensive mode or to take it personally. But like you said, we just have to take it as data points. It's all just information. It doesn't have to mean anything about me. It doesn't have to activate those old feelings and beliefs
Yeah.
that, my perfectionism is whispering in my ear. And the amount of personal growth that it requires and staying present and trust in myself and, my mission is so key. But yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you. Like it's hard to remove those emotions sometimes.
It is. It is. I do have to say, like, sometimes I have to take a step back and go, okay, one person's negative feedback, again, it's information. Thank you for sharing that. But that doesn't mean I have to agree with it because I'm not going to
True.
be everyone's cup of tea either, or what we
That's right.
offer is not going to work for
That's right.
everybody, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's okay.
That's right.
We don't want a
Yeah.
business that works for everyone. Like, that's too much.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, that's, what you're not. If
Yes,
that could be really helpful to be like, that's not my customer. That's not someone who's enjoying, that's not, so that can be really helpful too.
absolutely. Okay, I want to dive into a piece that I think will really resonate with our listeners, and that is the burnout piece. And
Mhm.
so, a couple of things you've said that I feel like are sort of the core of your story right now. You said resilience isn't about pushing through everything, which I think is amazing because you're right. So, we're going to talk about that. But the other thing you said is the system I was in wasn't bad. It just wasn't mine. And so, speaking of like
Yeah,
customers that aren't ours, like sometimes we are in systems or places in life that we just don't belong.
yeah,
We just don't belong.
yeah.
We thought we belonged. We really wanted to belong. We don't fit. We're square, round hole. Like it's just not working. And it doesn't matter if you
That's
change
right.
this way or change this way, like it doesn't
Yeah,
fit.
yeah,
And so,
yeah,
talk to us about that time in your life where you realized, like, this isn't for me. And now I'm not in denial anymore. And I know it's not for me. So, what's next? And then a little bit more about that resilience piece too and that burnout piece.
yeah. So resilience, grit, those were some terms that I have kind of a complicated relationship with because I'm not a quitter. I push through. And for so long, I think those were lies I told myself, or it was something I didn't really understand. And it really pushed me to a really difficult place that I didn't have to go. And I hope that others can kind of realize this and not cling to, those beliefs about perfectionism or just, making it work when you're in a place where you're not supposed to be. And I think now with some perspective and understanding, exactly as you said. So I love this question because I think the relationship between those two things is so important. Realizing that I'm not supposed to be there and that my body and, my emotions are reminding me of that all the time. And it's not truly resilience or grit to just push down those feelings and push through. I will say, it's funny when you said that I just didn't belong, square peg, round hole. My husband recently got a job at a big company that I have been trying to get a job for the last year. And it just happened so fast for him. And he is thrilled. He told me he is so excited to be a little worker bee. He just loves the corporate life. And I'm so happy for him. It really is a good fit. It's just everything's going so well for him. And he's meant to be there. And I think the fact that, I am not getting the results that I expect, or, like, I don't know if it's resilience or insanity, like doing the same thing over and over. But like every time it reminds me that there's a reason I haven't ended up in those places that I'm searching for, because I'm just not supposed to be there.
Absolutely. And we've talked about that too before as well. Like God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, like that's just not meant for you. So, but it's hard when it's been your goal for so long. Like I spent my whole
That's right.
life in
Yeah.
education, working in higher
Yeah.
education, preparing for higher education, being a
That's
student
right.
myself, and then it got to a point where it's like, well,
Yeah.
what now? And it feels the same
That's
for
right.
you. Like, I'm going to be an attorney.
Yeah.
This is what I'm supposed to be. Goes to
Yeah.
law school, does the things. And you're like, this
Exactly.
isn't working.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, I'm pretty early in my career, so it was only about 5 years before, I got off the treadmill, hit that burnout point. And I will say, I read this great quote recently that your brain would rather you suffer in familiarity than to, jump into uncertainty or the unknown. So I think so much of what I am experiencing in this transition moment for myself is it's really familiar. So I have this 5 years of experience. My entire career is based on this framework. And, I have these beliefs about what money and status are involved in those, in that path. And I think that's why the pull is so strong, because it's familiar. And,
Ah,
and on one interpretation, it feels safer than the unknown.
I hear that and felt that so hard. Like, I feel called out.
Yeah. Right. That was a good one.
It's true though, and I think for me, and this isn't going to be true for everyone, but for me, it's the anxiety of the unknown. It's the
That's right.
fear, it's the what if, like this
Yeah.
is comfortable. I know I can
Yeah.
sit at a table and do this job. I
That's
know I
right.
can walk in a room and know what I'm
Yes.
talking about and know what I'm doing. But that doesn't,
Hmm.
because I'm good at it, doesn't mean that's what I'm supposed to
Yeah.
keep doing.
Yeah. That linear path is so tempting, like, especially for people like us who have lists and perfectionistic tendencies and expectations. But I will just say, like, to anyone out there who is scared or in that place where it just feels impossible to jump into the uncertainty, do it. There is life on the other side. I didn't have a choice. My body decided for me when I was going to make that change. But now I'm in a place where I'm actively taking the leap, and I'm getting so much support and traction, and things are happening that I never would have dreamed or expected. But I have to make space in my life for the unknown, for the magic to happen. And that requires a little bit of blind faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I had a mentor in my life who always said, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." Like
That's so true. Yeah,
you just can't look at the whole mountain sometimes. It's just
that's
the
right.
next step.
That's right. What's the
I
next
want to
right
talk a
thing?
little bit more about your burnout. So,
Yeah,
once you got into burnout, what did that look like? Like uh how did that feel? When did you
yeah,
know like I have
yeah,
to make moves to be healthier?
yeah. Taking a deep breath to center myself,
Okay.
because it's been many years, but it was such a raw moment in my life. And I didn't even realize these structures I had in my life were such a big part of my identity. So my self-esteem took a huge hit. I will say it all started during COVID, and it's funny because it's actually 2022, which there have been so many COVID years, but it was after working remote about 2 years. I'd arrived in a senior position managing a team. It was the easiest job I ever had. I was making the most money ever, and I had the flexibility to work remote. I should have been living the dream. I've been grinding so hard to arrive at this like dream spot.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of like, I expected to be happy. And then I just wasn't. I made some changes professionally. And so I switched jobs. And after about 7 months is when I, finally realized it wasn't the job. It wasn't where I was at. It just was, I was in the wrong place. And I will say, Alex, I had so many physical symptoms of exhaustion. I was dealing with panic, and luckily I was, I'd been seeing a therapist for quite a while, and she and I kind of made the decision together that I took a break from work and then eventually, stepped away, quit totally because I was frozen. So a lot of people have different kind of burnout reactions, but my body, my brain just totally stopped. And I just could not move forward and just knew that, I just had to step away totally. And yeah, it was just completely unavoidable. I'd been pushing for so many years, and then I realized I just couldn't.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It does take a lot of courage to share that, even though it's been a few years. It's sometimes those memories or even trauma, your body
Yeah,
remembers that, you know?
that's right. That's right. And it's so wild the physical symptoms I was experiencing because our body tells us. If I wasn't listening to my emotions, I've been stuffing them down for so long and trying to push forward, but it was coming out in headaches and weird physical symptoms, rashes. I was getting sick all the time. I had periods of passing out. And, I
Wow.
just tried to compartmentalize it. But, all these things were happening, coming out in a physical way because I was so emotionally and mentally in not a great place.
Yeah. So, do you feel like it was that point in your life when you said, I need to be outside? I want to go explore. Like, tell me about that because
Yeah.
I know at some point,
Yeah.
and maybe outdoors has been part of your story your whole life, but like at some point it was like this like
Yeah.
light bulb of I want to do
Yeah.
something with the outdoors. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so physical activity is so important. That mind body connection that I've been ignoring for so long. Nature, and at the time it was solo time in nature, helped me get in touch with my body. So something happens when you hit a trail. I love hiking. Something happens when you hit the trailhead. Like you leave your to do list behind and you immediately tap into body awareness by using your senses. I think it's just a natural human reaction that I start hearing the sound of my breath. I tap into the sound of my feet on the ground. And then hearing signs of nature, the birds, the wind in the trees, seeing different growth and recognizing the changes in the seasons. I had a lot of free time when I wasn't working. So I spent
Right.
a lot of time on the same paths. And it was like, I realized that no two hikes were the same. And it helped me process so many things, the trauma, like you talked about. Like, I am so in my head intellectual that for so long I thought, I could talk myself out of it or think myself out of what was happening to me. But it was that physical connection. And, I found nature to be a great place for me to get out of my head and to, really start to heal and really start to make some connections about who I am and what I really enjoy.
That's great. That's so amazing. I agree. We have a trailhead behind our house, like where people walk and run and bike. It is a paved trail, which is great. But it's so like it just resets your soul. Like I don't even know how to describe it,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
I love that. And, I'm in a period where that doesn't always feel accessible. There are times where I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going to do this. It's built into my routines and habits. But right now it's just not one of those times. So I just have to remind myself, and this is a great conversation to remind myself because I've never regretted getting out there. I may have these beliefs that I don't have enough time or, oh, it's so much work. I don't want to drive to get to that place. But I've never regretted it. And one thing I'll say, Alex, is I really have been interested in like micro nature experiences. So if your day is super, you don't have to take a retreat to Costa Rica or to hike or an overnight experience. What if you just spent your lunch period outside? Or what if you look at the trees or notice the seasonal changes as you're driving to work? Have that kind of mindfulness instead of just diving into the worries or the treadmill of all the stressors in your life. What if you just listen to the sound of water, take a little break? Because like you said, it's human nature to just kind of reset your soul. There's so many studies on these different nature interactions just for a matter of 15, 30 seconds that can, help regulate our bodies, lower blood pressure, and help us feel more grounded.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because something I've been really focusing on the last year is sunlight. First thing in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
morning
Yeah,
sunlight, no sunscreen, no
yeah,
sunglasses, just full morning
that's great.
sunlight, and how it helps our rhythm, our daily rhythm,
Amazing.
and
Yeah,
like how that can affect women's hormones too, which I think is crazy.
absolutely.
Something so easy as me just sitting on my back deck for 5 or 10
Yeah,
minutes. If I take a call
yeah,
out there, if I take a meeting out there, if
uh-huh.
I just have my coffee out there, whatever that is, like
Yeah,
just that 10 or
yeah,
15 minutes of morning sun is
yeah,
so
yeah.
significant to our bodies. Or, in another episode, I think it's episode 5 with Andrea Sisti, she talks about grounding and just standing in grass barefoot.
Touch grass. Sometimes it's that simple,
It's
It's not
simple.
easy, but sometimes it's hard. And that's why I say habits and routines, because it's totally okay for most of the people I work with in Wildwood are not outdoorsy. They are like, it's not their thing to go hiking or camping. That's fine. That's okay. It doesn't have to, you don't even have to believe, Alex, that standing in grass, is
Right.
gonna ground you in some magical, mystical way. Or you could be annoyed that you have to go outside. But if you like build that into your routine and it becomes an identity anchor, that's something I think about a lot. Like, am I someone who cares about regulating my hormones and being present for my loved ones in my life? Then, these little habits, these little intentional moments in our routine become non negotiable. So then it just becomes, I'm Alex. I wake up in the morning and I step outside because that's part of my day. And that means these different things about myself and my beliefs and who I am.
Yeah. I love that so much. That is so just an identity anchor. Yes.
Yeah.
I look, people every day we get up, we go to work.
Yeah.
Some of us go to the gym, some of us work out at
Yeah.
home, some of us run on a treadmill, some of us run outside. Like those are normal things that people do, right? Like it's built in, that you're going to have dinner with your family. You know that you're going to
Yeah.
work out, whatever those things are. So these are just micro habits that we're also building. And
Yeah.
that's what Alex is talking about. Like
Yeah.
if it's important to you to regulate your hormones, which middle-aged women, hello, start looking
Yeah.
at it now. Don't wait till it's too late.
100%. That's right.
Um, Having your tea or coffee on the deck
Yeah.
or outside is not, you're going to have your coffee or tea anyway, right? Like just do it
That's right.
outside.
That's right. Exactly. I love that because
So,
she made it so accessible.
yeah.
How, if I could ask you, how long did it take you to kind of build this micro routine, or how long did it take you to make that part of your day?
So I read a lot about it. Okay.
Yeah,
Research nerd. Um,
100%. You have to know everything. You got to do
yes.
your homework.
Yes,
100%.
because I'm
Yeah.
like, is this real? You see it on
Is this
social
real?
media as an
Yeah.
influencer, and
Yeah.
you're like, is that real? And so then you
Yeah.
start reading about it, and you hear
That's
people on
right.
podcasts talking about it. And
That's
so
right.
that was probably like several months. And then I was
Sure. Of
like,
course.
okay, I'm just gonna try it and see how I
Yeah.
feel. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest,
Great.
like, I don't come inside like I feel like I'm 25. Like, that's
Of
not
course
how
not.
I feel, right? But
Yeah.
because it becomes part of my
Yeah.
daily
Yeah.
habits, I
Yeah.
feel like I have a little bit more energy.
That's right.
For me, also,
Yeah.
like if I'm not in a meeting outside, I'll take time at that point to pray or do
Yeah.
my gratitude list or whatever that looks like,
Well,
because that's a me time thing too. Like, hello,
that's right.
moms and busy women and people who have spouses and pets and all the things, like you need alone time. So even if it's 10
Yeah.
minutes, like this is
Yeah.
also one of those times where I can lay on the chair on the deck and
That's
just
right.
be.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
Yes.
And it's so hard to change habits. Behavior change is so hard. We know, we've done our homework. We know the research on it.
Yes.
And it's okay if it's hard. And it's okay if you hate it. And it's okay if, it's not for you. Maybe you find
Right.
different things. But the fact that you're even open to changing or just recognizing, like, I could use more of this. It's great to find your motivation. I love motivational interview techniques.
Yeah.
So, if I were to ask you, Alex, or if you were like, I wish I could make this a part of my routine, or I wish, I could regulate my hormones. Then I might say like, oh, it's really important to you that you are present and that you spend time just for you because you have these other things going on. So it's really important for you to be there for those other things. So what are some ways that we can help you fit that into your day, into your routine? So finding your motivation, maybe even reflecting on that, can help you get from the research mode to execution mode, because that can be such a hard place just to be sitting in, oh, I want to make this change, or I would love to have what other people have. And, I can spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos, reading, and
For
I'm not
sure.
any closer to, I'm not any closer to finding these great
Doing
benefits we're
it.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so from burnout, you started getting into nature, you started healing that way. At what point did Wildwood Connection become reality for you?
Yeah. So this idea has been in my head and my heart for quite a while. And I will say it kind of came out of my own need for connection and community. When I was going through the healing period, spending time in nature, reconnecting with my body, um, I was doing it all alone. I did these solo backpacking trips. I was just doing it alone, and maybe I needed it, but there was this point where it's like a flip switched and I realized that I just needed connection. That was a big like turning point in my healing journey. I'd been isolating for so long in a bad way. And then isolating as I was kind of healing, I needed that. And then I realized I wanted a community. I wanted to find other outdoorsy people. I wanted to find other people that, loved nature. And I think something really special happens when you have a group. So I love facilitating groups, using those motivational techniques. And, just kind of like as I was asking you those questions, basically a podcast is that way in an asynchronous model, but live in a group in like the natural setting, I think people can be really vulnerable and examine some of those patterns. And I think we can learn from others. And what if we could get some feedback and shine some light on those blind spots, like I was talking about earlier? Because I love to, when we start a Wildwood experience, create a psychologically safe space, break the ice, get everyone on a first name basis, because then we're in the experience together. And it becomes a great space where we're co-creating what that experience is. And Wildwood is really about, it started with me selfishly, wanting to find friends and find a
Yeah.
community and share that with other people. But it also holds space in my own life. Something that's really different about Wildwood and my entrepreneurial journey versus my previous career is that I have to do the work. I have to lead by example, and I have to be in a really good place emotionally, spiritually, physically, or I can't be Wildwood. I can't make Wildwood happen for other people if I'm not doing the work myself. In the past, it was all about results and expectations. And, I was not physically, emotionally, spiritually well, but I was performing. I was still giving the output, and that's all anyone cared about. And that's a really extreme way of looking at it. No
Sure.
one wanted me to be sick, as I was
Right.
like, that's not good. But it's so easy to mask and to pretend like everything's okay if I'm still getting a promotion, if I'm running that marathon. But where I'm at now, Wildwood is really honest. I have to be honest about myself. And I'll be really real. Like, I had to cancel some experiences this summer because I needed to take a beat. So Wildwood is about being honest with myself so I can, really show up in an authentic way and help others do the same.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for sharing that because I understand like the importance of feeling like you can show up for your people, but you're
Yeah.
right. For you, this is what healed you. So, so two things in my brain right now. One is not only are you helping other people, but you're
Hmm.
helping yourself at the same time. Like you're doing something that
Absolutely.
you love, your body needs, you need physically, mentally, spiritually, all the things. while helping other people. But yes, absolutely. Sometimes we do have to say, like, I want to be able to be in a better place to help you.
Yeah.
So, but look at that awareness, Alex. Like, that is
Mhm.
growth because you didn't have
Yeah.
that before, and now
Yeah.
you've experienced this and you're able to stop and say, like, I am not in a season right now where I can help other people, and so I will be there in a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever that looks
Yeah.
like for you. So that's
Yeah.
great.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'll take my
I love
flowers
those
wherever I can.
moments. Yes, I
Yeah,
love those
absolutely. To see
moments.
the growth. Yeah.
Yes, where you're like, look at me go. Yay, me.
That's right. Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we are at a point in the show where I ask all of our sparks this specific question. And that question is, if somebody is trying to figure out what their spark is, maybe they don't know, maybe they're lost, maybe they're in a burnout mode and they just,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like for them, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. So I think for me, it was so important to reestablish that mind body connection because your body already knows what you need. And that can be your guide to really finding what sets your soul on fire and where you're supposed to be. And maybe it starts with where you're not supposed to be. So having that awareness, figuring out how you can get really quiet and either hear it for yourself, or if you're at a loss and you can't put words to it, finding support, finding a resource. I reached out to Mariah and set up a coaching call because I knew that I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that things weren't working and I wanted something and I couldn't figure out how to get there. So I had that feedback and, now I have the awareness, even if it's just like, this is the wrong thing, but tapping into my body and I would remind everybody that you already know the answers. Mariah didn't do anything, like she didn't create anything or like give me ideas or solutions. She reflected back my motivations, helped me understand my identity and really what's important to me. So that's a great example that, I had the answers. I just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with our audience. And I really do think this resonates so much because there are a lot of people in our group, our collective, and our atmosphere, I guess, who have struggled with the same thing, whether that's an identity crisis at work, whether that's, they've been out of work for so long as a stay at home mom. Now they're going back into the workforce, whatever that looks like. We have people transitioning to empty nesters. We have people having babies and now
Yeah.
they're going to become parents. Like
Yeah.
we have
That's
groups of
right.
people that are all experiencing life-changing
Yeah.
transformations, and
Yeah.
listening to your body is so key, and that's so great. So thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that with us, and that's such a
Yeah.
good lesson. It is hard sometimes to do that, but look, we're all here to support. If you're
That's
listening
right.
today and you are in the
Yeah.
same situation or similar situation and you have questions, you need support, reach out. We will help you.
Yeah.
We are here to help
Yeah.
you.
Alex, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because it's important to acknowledge that we're all going through transitions every day. I think maybe social media or the idea of what is a perfect life, the career of 30 years and then retirement, these boxes we check, that's not reality. That's not, and it is for some people, maybe that works, those systems. That's not the system for all of us. And I thought I had it figured out when I was 22. And then at 28 to 30, I had to recognize we're all figuring it out as we go along. Maybe we don't always see it because, we have these ideas or perceptions about others' success, how happy they are. Maybe social media is contributing to the highlight reel where we don't see the struggle behind the scenes or really accept that, you know, life is always changing. And that was really good for me to accept this summer because I really worked hard over the spring. I had a lot of momentum. I did have a vacation planned. So I will say that was kind of a step. And then I just really worked myself up until that vacation. And then I had to recognize that, some things changed in my life. I needed to take a little bit of a break, reassess some things. And for a while, I was just like, I was grieving the certainty that I thought I had created, because like I was working really hard, checking all these boxes, and then it'll be easy, and then I'll arrive. That old pattern was happening. And the last few weeks, luckily, I've accepted like there's no arriving, there's no certainty. We're all making it up as we go along. And that's the fun part. That's the fun part. Like being an entrepreneur, you're in charge of that. You're at the driver's
Yes.
wheel. And that's a scary part, but it's the fun part too.
Yes. It's the journey, right? It's the
It's the
adventure.
journey. It would be boring otherwise. Yeah.
True. Like imagine we just reached our destination at 30. Then what? You have
Ugh,
50
ugh,
years plus to do what?
right.
Just,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Exactly.
yeah. Bleh.
That's
Oh,
not
well, thank
happiness,
you
you
so
know?
much. Yes, that's right. You're right. It's not happiness. And even though our uncertain journeys can create moments of unhappiness, for lack of
Yeah.
better words,
Yeah.
if your soul is on fire most of the time, it is not reality for our soul to be on fire all the time. That is just not reality. We are
No, no,
humans. But
no.
if you, at the end of the day, say, even though today was hard, I'm still content. I still am happy. I still feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, then that's it. That's amazing.
Yeah. And like, I try to remember that in the 50 years down the road, I'm going to look back on this time and remember it fondly. Because even though in the moment, like you're saying, it's really challenging, there are hard days, there are ups and downs, it's a moment of becoming. And this transition moment, there's so much possibility. And it won't always be like this. But, I love the challenge. It's where I'm most alive and feel most creative. And like I just try to think down the road and remind myself that it's really a privilege to be able to be in this scary, stressful place and still be able to hold space for that and to move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Alex, where can people find you?
I am on social media at Wildwood Connections, Instagram, Facebook. You can email me wildwoodconnections@gmail.com. And my website is where you can book upcoming events, www.wildwoodconnections.com. I am looking for partnerships in wellness, tourism, hospitality space. So if you're in that space or, you have a team that would like to do some kind of team building activity or icebreaker, I've talked to a few different small businesses that I'm creating custom offerings. So would love to hear from you, even if you just want to share your experience. One of the coolest parts, Alex, of this journey has been telling my story, kind of like I did today, talking about what I want Wildwood to be. And it's resonating with a lot of people, which is really cool. And I'm just grateful to be in this area. Northwest Arkansas has really beautiful nature and we have great communities, the running community, hiking, biking community. I just started a foraging club and the response has been amazing. Like so many people are interested in learning and finding their people outside. It's been really cool.
That's so good. And we will have all of Alex's socials and website in the show notes as well, so you can find it there too. For the SoulFire Collective, you can find us on Instagram at the SoulFire Co. and Facebook and LinkedIn at the SoulFire Collective. You can also find us at thesoulfirecollective.com. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us and for just being a great June spark for us.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's been a privilege.
Thank you for joining us for this month's Spark Conversation with Alex Hawkins. If there's one thing we hope to take away from her story, it's this: it's never too late to come back to yourself. Sometimes the path forward doesn't begin with having all the answers. It begins with taking one small step, trusting what you're hearing, and having the courage to follow what feels true. So thank you again, Alex, for sharing your story and your wisdom. And to the listeners, we'll see you next time. Bye.